Hey home bakers, it's Jack here, bakewithjack.co.uk, bringing you your weekly bread making tip every single Thursday. And this week I'm going to give you 3 variations on your simple loaf of bread recipe. Oh, roll that theme tune. Hello to you and welcome back to the Bake with Jack YouTube channel, where I share a little bit of my bread making expertise every single Thursday with you. If you like the sound of that and you haven't clicked subscribe yet, have a think about it. And if you want to go the whole way, you can sign up for the weekly email absolutely free, the Home Bakers Bulletin. Click the link underneath and sign up and you'll get all my content from the week in your inbox every single Thursday morning. So here's the loaf from a couple of weeks ago, video number 130. It's not the exact one. I mean, I've baked a new one for today. And we can get a lot out of this simple recipe simply by tweaking a few techniques, introducing a few things we've spoken about in videos before to create loaves completely different. The possibilities are literally endless, but let's go through 3 different variations that you might want to try at home. Seeds are nice. You can put them inside the dough itself, or you can put them on top of the dough after shaping. Or if you want to go really crazy, like I did, you can do both. You can use a single seed like sesame or poppy or linseed or sunflower, or you can mix them all up like I do and put them all on top like this. Doesn't that look wonderful? Seriously. If you want to get seeds inside your dough, use 75 grams of seeds per loaf and add them into the dry flour at the beginning stage of your recipe. I'm going to put this down, I can't concentrate with it here. Hold on. 75 grams of seeds per loaf is plenty. Put it in with all your ingredients in the beginning, in the weighing stage. Mix it all up and knead it through. It's a little bit controversial. I know there'll be people out there saying something like, if you put the seeds in at the beginning, the sharp edges of the seed outside body shape will sever the gluten strands during the kneading process, leading to a weak gluten network within the final dough. And to those people I say, whatever, I'm a rule breaker, I'm a risk taker. I put it in at the beginning, I work it through, I don't care, and my loaf comes out looking just like this. So if that's not proof enough that it works, I don't know what is. Let's not overcomplicate things, shall we? If you want to put seeds on top like this, you can use any technique out of video number 1, 2, 3. Personally, I go for the J-cloth trick every time for maximum coverage like this. And if you want this stripy thing going on, do the water, do the seeds, then cut it with a knife before the final proof. And it'll prove up nicely. Those cuts will open up and you'll bake it and look wicked, right? To transform your white loaf into a seeded loaf, it's super easy. The process is exactly the same. All we've done is added a little extra something, and now you've got this wicked seeded loaf. I'm going to cut it open so we can see what's inside. Yeah, man. Here it is. We've retained the wonderful, soft, bouncy texture on the inside. Let me get that slice from my other hand without looking. There it is. Check it out. Isn't that wonderful? Look, we even get this wicked swirl. Can you see that swirl? That's evidence of my shaping. Isn't that wonderful? Proper handmade bread the way it should be. Seeded. When you get confident with your shaping, it's time to go freestand and make a loaf of bread, Bloomer style. This is exactly the same. Isn't that wonderful? I consider this to be the perfect cartoon loaf of bread. It's the one that Charlie Bucket rushes home from his paper round to give to his family for them to have their cabbage soup in Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. The original one, not the one with Johnny Depp with a ginger bob cut. Seriously, what's that about? What's the difference between a tinned loaf like this and a bloomer like this? Well, let me tell you a great big secret. It's the tin. Both of these are shaped in exactly the same way, but the thing is, I always recommend for a beginner to do one in a tin, because in the tin, you've got support. Your loaf's only ever going to go up. If you make a dodgy job of shaping this one, you'll get away with it, because inside of a tin, it's only ever going to go up. It's got that support and it's okay. If you make a mess of shaping up a bloomer like this, it will show, because as it proves up, it will go wonky, it will go sideways, it will literally go wherever it wants to. It's relying on your accurate and deliberate shaping to be able to hold that nice shape on a tray as it rises up. And when you do prove it up, take it right to the edge as bread dough puffs up. And this bit's important to remember for the next one as well. As bread dough puffs up, it takes on more and more and more gas until it can't hold anymore, and eventually it will start collapsing upon itself. You don't want to get it there. As it puffs up too much, it will start getting weak and delicate, and the weight of it will begin to drag it down and flatten it out and make it sag a little bit because it's got nothing to lean on. You need to take it to a point where it's maximum puffy, but you're not beginning to get worried. If you do start to get worried, transfer it to the oven carefully, bake it exactly the same as the loaf in the original recipe, and the worst thing that might happen is that it might bust open somewhere underneath somewhere or somewhere random, and that's just the loaf's way of telling you you could have let it prove a little bit longer next time round. So for this bloomer, everything else is the same. The recipe is exactly the same. The process is exactly the same. You just got to be a bit more vigilant when you're shaping it up. Prove it up on a tray and everything's cool. Let's cut it and have a look inside. Oh yeah! Now we're talking. Woo! Check this out, isn't it wonderful? It's got a nice thin crust on the outside, super soft inside. Actually, it's got some bigger bubbles as well, which is a little bit weird. I'm not sure why that happens, but there you go. It's really nice and soft. Like, I love a bloomer. Who doesn't love a bloomer? Seriously. It's well soft. It's well delicious. It's probably a little bit lighter even than the tin loaf for some reason. Maybe it's because it's more natural. Maybe because it's more natural shape and it proves up in a more natural way with no restrictions, maybe. I don't know, but it's got a real nice, thin, crispy crust. Man, oh yeah. Next one. This next variation is an excellent one because the recipe is exactly the same. We've just changed the ending, the proving and the baking process to transform your loaf into something that looks artisan, properly artisan. And if it looks artisan with flour on top and a big bust open, you can charge an extra £1 for it. It's crusty all the way round, and you can even slash something pretty on top if that's the way you are inclined. So to get this type of loaf, follow the recipe exactly until you get to the shaping bit. Shape it up exactly like the recipe, but this time you're going to prove it in a proving basket upside down. And I'm going to put this down now because we're going to get a little bit particular. Are you ready? This time we're baking the loaf freestanding the same way as a bloomer with no support. But instead of proving it up and baking it on the same tray, we're going to want to slide it onto a hot stone into the oven on its bare bum, a little bit like, in fact exactly like, a sourdough loaf of bread. Because we're going to slide it on its bare bum onto a hot stone, we need to prove it somewhere where it doesn't stick, hence the basket. The basket will support the loaf during the puff, and it will allow us to transfer it onto a peel into the oven without it getting sticky. Now remember what I was talking about puff earlier. The final puff, your dough, after you shaped it, is firm and bouncy. And the more you puff it up, the more it gets puffy until it becomes really, really delicate, right? Really puffy, really delicate, in danger of collapsing, right? You want to get really puffy, not in danger of collapsing, really puffy for something in a tin or that bloomer we were talking about earlier. But this time round, we want the loaf to bust open artistically on the top like this. We want the immediate heat from the stone underneath to come up through the loaf and bust it open like that on top. And to get that to happen, we need to find a sweet spot within the puff. You need a sweet spot between firm and delicate, and as a guideline for this, because it's an hour proof in the normal recipe, I would take it to about 40 minutes where it's still got some push and some tension left inside. When it hits that heat, it will bust open on the top nicely. When it's reached that sweet spot in your basket, you are going to flip it upside down onto a wooden peel like this, and then you're going to slash it. But this time, we don't do it with a knife like we did before, because now we're slashing after the puff. I'm going to do it with a razor blade, a grignette like this one. You can do it with a knife, but it will do a clumsier job at this point, and you don't want to risk anything too much. A nice swift slice with a razor blade like this, across the middle. Then you're going to slide it from this into your oven onto the hot stone. If you want to see this properly, I can't show you that today, but it's exactly the same as in the sourdough video number 101. It's exactly the same as the baking process. You're going to give it a high heat, 230 degrees C, which is 446 degrees F, for at least 10 to 15 minutes to get that initial push, that initial bust open. Then you're going to do the remaining baking time, half an hour or so, on about 190 degrees to get that nice and crusty all the way on the outside. Let's cut this one open and have a look inside. Yes! Oh yeah, can you hear that? Can you hear that? Yeah, man. This one is quite similar to the Bloomer, but I would go as far as to say it's a little bit lighter, a little bit puffier, because that immediate, I'll hold it like that. Look how big that is compared to that. It's a little bit lighter, a little bit puffier because of that immediate heat underneath, giving our bread a nice big booster. We got a thick crust this time because of the high heat and combination with the steam in the original recipe. And check out the slice. Yeah, like this is serious, isn't it? Just calling out for a bit of jam. Butter and jam. Properly crusty, properly soft on the inside, a little bit extra effort. But it's very much rewarded. Exactly the same recipe, same ingredients, similar process up to when you're proving, and then straight in the basket, stone bake it, completely different results. So listen, I know I didn't show you this stuff step by step. It's just not practical for me to do that. I wanted to give you enough information to try something new at home. As you're getting comfortable and confident with that original recipe, you can just change and tweak a few things. I've just shown you 3. There are tons of things you can do to make it different for yourself. Even in this short space of time, we spoke about loads of things, changing, adding an additional ingredient, being seeds, baking on a tray instead of a tin. It's one simple thing makes it completely different, and stone baking at the end just takes it up another notch. Probably the trickiest of them all, but the results are so rewarding. Practice, 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 then take it up a notch when you're comfortable. There's so much scope. We are literally touching the tip of the bread iceberg. Listen, thanks so much for stopping by for your weekly bread making tip this Thursday. If this is your cup of tea and you like to see more, consider clicking subscribe. And if you want even more of me in your inbox, you can have it every single week in the Home Bakers Bulletin. Sign up, the link is always underneath my videos. See you next week. Bye-bye.